common problem with GM cars is the gauges will go out. You get some dumbass readings. 2,000 RPM and I'm sitting in the garage. Yeah. Yeah, there's little stepper motors behind it and they'll go bad after so long. They're not that expensive though. I bought 3 of them off of eBay. I think it was like 12 bucks, something like that. It beats buying the whole cluster, which will run you 150, 200 bucks. Pretty stupid when it's a $2 part. Yeah. But you do have to do some soldering. Get to the back of the board on it. Take them all out, solder it up. I've done it like 3 times, once on my car and somebody else's, and now my girlfriend's ripped apart Cavalier. If you plan on doing the gauges yourself, a couple things you need to know. Before you take it out, make sure all the gauges are set to 0. Some cars don't reset to 0. Some of them will, stay on. So what you want to do is mark where that one is before you take it apart. Because if you set the stepper motor at the wrong place, when it turns on, it's just going to be even worse out of whack. So know where the motor is supposed to be when it shuts off, and when you replace it, that's where you need to stick the needle, so when it turns on, everything will be in the right position. You have to take the front bezel off. This right here, don't scratch this, because if you scratch any of this, it's going to show up as a white, weird looking mark. You're going to have to pull the needles off first. Now, to do that, the best thing that I found is actually a fork with some electrical tape wrapped around it. That way you don't scratch the actual bezel, whatever it's called. And you just stick it underneath. You can actually stick it anywhere underneath it. Just get underneath of it. Kind of try to pry up. There we go. Those ones are a bit longer than I've seen before. Set these needles in order so I get the right ones in the right spots. You can, while you're replacing these, get LEDs instead of the lights. Replace the lights too, because sometimes you have lights that go out. And you can replace them with LEDs. You just have to get resistors on it, because the bulbs in here, I'm not actually sure what voltage they run at, but when I've done it before in my other cluster, it was I just had to hook the proper resistor up to it. You can get them fully put together at Radio Shack with built-in resistor, but nah, whatever you want to do. Alright, flip this over. You got some retaining clips. Just kind of one at a time, all the way around. And don't force anything, because if you try to force something, more than likely it's not supposed to come off that way. probably missed a screw. That's what I always say. Alright. Alrighty. And here's your culprits. These are the stepper motors that always cause problems. The RPMs is the one that's out in this one, but I'm going to replace the main three just because they're going to go out anyways. This came out of a vehicle that was a fleet vehicle for Avis. So this car has a lot of mileage on a lot of the parts. Alrighty. Get my soldering gun heated up and pop these out. First thing you want to do is you get it all taken out and you want to start popping these out. Get to where the stepper motor is on the other side. There it is right there. And it's got 4 pins on it. What I do, you don't have to, but I break all the pins off because you're gonna take it out anyways. Just not so much to try to pull out. It doesn't have all the length on it. I just start by grabbing it on the back. I pull down a little bit. Take the solder gun. Heat it up on one side, then the other. One side and the other, and it kind of works its way out. Switch to the other side. Sometimes, if you can, get a screwdriver, just start to get behind it a little bit, because it's hard to get leverage. There you go. Way easier. Just put a little tension on it just so when the solder does melt, it has a chance to pop out. And there it is. Now if they still are kind of working, I would keep them just in case. But more than likely, it's not going to go out again if you replace it one time. The motor should go out before then. At least with most cars nowadays. Pins off. It's just so much easier.